first grade, second grade, third grade. It only lasted for half a year. Third grade. J175. Like I said, didn't last that long. Only half a year. Hey guys, how's it going? Another day, another vlog. In today's video for my school year series, I'm going to be talking about my third grade class. And this one, I didn't spend the entire year in third grade because, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. So let me explain what happened. So once I moved from second grade to third grade, I moved to that classroom right there. The teacher's name, Mrs. McLean. She was an interesting teacher. I really enjoyed her. Maybe my attitude towards her has changed significantly over the past several years, of course. But I was still a troublemaker, and I did get sent to the principal's office, I believe twice, almost 3 times. But there were times in my third grade class where things were a little bit stressful. Actually, what I forgot to mention in my second grade video, I just thought of this. When I was in second grade, my dad was going through a time where he was possibly thinking of moving from Jet Propulsion Laboratory onto a different job. Now keep in mind, when I was in second grade, we had a very special event that happened at Jet Propulsion Laboratory where the entire class actually went to the laboratory and checked it out. Of course, I was very prideful of my dad because I enjoyed Jet Propulsion Laboratory because it's a place where you learn about space. However, during the time when I was in second grade, he was planning on leaving JPL and going to like a different organization or company. This really stressed me out so much that I literally started pulling my hair out of the back of my head. It got so bad that I had a big bald spot on the back of my head. I even started pulling out my eyelashes too. True story. I would pull them out so much that my eyes would get swollen. Like they would be swollen shut. And it was very visible too. Well, the stress didn't end there. I moved on to third grade as well. During the time when my dad was moving out of Jet Propulsion Laboratory, or considering moving from Jet Propulsion Laboratory, his mother, my favorite grandmother, developed a very bad case of cancer in her intestinal tract. Now, supposedly, if the doctor had removed all the cancer, she would have been fine. But he only removed some of the cancer and left some there, possibly thinking that they could bypass it or some stupid thing. Basically, after the surgery, he claimed that she was only going to be around for a few more months. Well, she lasted for like another year or two. This may have happened when I was in first grade too. But it was very noticeable in second grade because I was in major league or minor leagues at that time, and I remember she would come to the games with a ball cap on because she had to go through chemotherapy, which, you know, really stressed me out because she was so frail at that time. When I was in third grade, right around the time when I left, she passes away. And of course, I was distraught and saddened because I lost my favorite grandparent. And I started pulling my hair out once again. And I got a bald spot here, and I started pulling out my eyelashes once again. So I was a very depressed kid at this time. Some of my friends took note of what was going on and tried to comfort me, but it didn't always work out. It kept getting worse. And by the time, like mid-January, when we actually had the funeral, or was it February? I forget when it was. That was when my parents decided to pull me out of third grade. Now, I don't remember that much of what happened in third grade, although I do remember we were learning our multiplication and division in third grade. And I wasn't as good at it at the beginning, but as time went along, I got better at it when I was homeschooled. But I remember we were doing multiplication there. I remember we had several TAs in the classroom. And like I said, I can't really remember a whole lot because, again, that was one of the most stressful moments in my life, and it was just getting worse throughout the year. I remember we had a very special Christmas night where we actually built a whole bunch of gingerbread houses. Well, I don't remember exactly what happened, but I guess Mrs. McLean thought I was doing something inappropriate and caused me to sit right over here right over here where her desk was. So I was basically missing out on the making of the gingerbread houses. Well, near the very end, I was able to make one. And during the same time, when I was sitting here, we had a couple of parents overseeing what was going on with gingerbread houses. And I remember noticing everybody was still in the classroom. Then I see the door open. I'm like, wait a minute, everybody's here. Who is this? My dad walks in. And I'm like, uh-oh. So he saw me sitting there, and I remember he was like smiling like, hey, this is cool. And then he's like, where's Shaun? And then he looks down and he's like, I shouldn't be laughing about that, but it's funny now. But back then, I was in deep trouble. I think it was at that point when they decided that I was getting into trouble so much that they pulled me out. And I can honestly say that my stress level went significantly down after I moved out of grade school. Yes, it meant going away from friends, from my teachers, and just the school altogether. But some positive came out of it. Like I said, the stress level went down, but I wasn't going to be able to see my friends ever. And during the same time period, I was also starting to practice the piano. I haven't done the piano in a long time. But, yep, 3rd grade was a bit of a stressful year. 2nd grade was just the beginning. 3rd grade, it was a little worse. Now, of course, I don't have any hard feelings towards Mrs. McLean or any of my other teachers that were involved in my, fiasco moments, because it was always my fault. I admit now that it was my fault. It was never their fault. Sometimes, though, they just didn't quite understand what was going on, and, under these circumstances, how could they know, right? But still, there was a lot of stressful moments in my life during my days here at school that just kept building and building. Finally, it was like, okay, we got to make a change here. So that's when they decided to pull me out of grade school, which was sad. Again, would my life be any different if I was still here? Probably. Yeah, absolutely. There was one thing, though, that she actually invited us to after I started going to homeschool, and that was an event that happened at the Forest Lawn over in Griffith Park, where they had somebody dressed up as Abraham Lincoln. Supposedly George Washington was going to be involved in this too, but only Abraham Lincoln showed up. And after that, no more invitations. Although I did have a piano recital here where a couple of my friends were practicing piano at the same time, but not, the entire class. Again, 3rd grade was stressful. And yes, I did get sent to principal's office twice. I'm not happy about it. And I think I had one more concert to perform, and then that was it. So, by the way, the gym was right there, and I think we played in the gym a few times. We also used to play out in the parking lot, which is now where the parking lot is now. But, yeah. By the way, before I completely forget, when I was in 2nd grade, they were building the Master's Seminary building here on the campus grounds. This building wasn't complete until, I believe, when I was in 3rd grade. But when I was playing out here with my friends during PE, they had a gigantic hole for a few months near the beginning or maybe midway through the school year right in here because they were building the basement of the building. And I remember I was playing baseball right out here with a friend of mine, and my ball went into the hole, and the construction worker threw it out. And sometimes the noise was a little distracting, so I could hear the construction from the classroom, and the teacher, Miss Sasha, would say, don't pay attention to the workers. Pay attention to your classwork. And of course, I didn't want to pay attention to my classwork. I wanted to pay attention to what was going on outside. Distractions. That was one of the problems I had when I was here at school. So yeah. Well, folks, that is the end of my experience at Grace School. 3rd grade, 1st grade, and 2nd grade were all right here. They're nurseries now, because you can see the cribs in there. Fun and bad memories haunt these halls. And I remember every single one of them. Well, most of them. But the journey continues. Once I left Grace School, I moved on to the next chapter in my life. Moving on into homeschool territory. That's right. Going on, being taught at home with my parents. Hence, homeschooling. On that note, thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, please be sure to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel for more vlogs. Also, be sure to check out my other 3 channels, the educational series, the Disneyland video series, and the Travel Town series. And as always, follow me on my social media accounts, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, and Instagram. Thank you so much for watching. End scene.